Hey viewers, this is Wes with Wes's Corner, and today we are going to be discussing the different organizations and charities that have to do with autistic people, and why some are good, some are bad, and the pros and cons of some of these organizations and charities. So this is probably going to be a lengthy video, so strap on in and enjoy the ride because here we go. So we're going to start with Autism Speaks. That's the organization that everybody knows. The one with the puzzle piece, you know what it is. The problem with that one, first and foremost, is using a puzzle piece as its logo implies that autistic people are missing a piece of themselves, which is not true. We're not missing anything. We're just wired a little bit differently, I suppose is the better term for it. We think a little bit differently than neurotypical people do. So that by itself is problematic. Um, Another issue with them, in 2009, they released an ad titled I Am Autism. Portrayed autism as a silent and sinister killer per the Washington Post. This is an article from the Washington Post. And the ad claims that autism works faster than pediatric AIDS, cancer, and diabetes combined, and that autism ensures that marriages will fail, financial ruin will ensue, and that it will rob parents of their children and dreams. Now, let me tell you something real quick, real candid. I have not experienced financial ruin. I do not have AIDS, cancer, or diabetes. I'm relatively healthy. It hasn't killed me. It hasn't given me a death sentence. It hasn't made any marriages of mine fail. I'm, of course, not married, but I have been in a pretty good relationship since last year. Sure, I've had some bad ones, but I don't think that that is necessarily exclusive to people with autism. No, not at all. So, for them to say that it's going to ruin marriages, uh, rob parents of their children and their dreams, that's way too disingenuous. It's patently untrue. And it is harmful to think that way, and it contributes to a lot of the stigma that we as autistic people face when working in a world catered to the neurotypical. This is not a world for the neurodivergent, specifically in this case for the autistic people. So to separate us like that, to vilify us, is frustrating at the absolute minimum. It honestly makes me very, very unhappy to see this type of hostility, hate, and poor treatment caused as a result of this propaganda. Yeah, that is what it is. It's propaganda, is what it boils down to. And there's some other bad ones too. That one is, I would say, the worst of them, at least in my research and my personal experience in my life. Autism Speaks ranks at the top of the ones that you want to avoid. I mean, come on. They don't even have any autistic people on their board. It's not run by anyone that is considered autistic. They're all neurotypical. How can they understand what we go through? How can they experience what we experience while still being neurotypical. It's not possible. I'm not saying they don't have their own struggles, but they do not see the world through the lens that we see it through. They do not suffer the same struggles that we do. The looks that we get when we are open about being autistic, they do not have to deal with that. They don't have to deal with that shame, with that hurt. Instead, they contribute to it. They see us autistic people as a disease that needs to be cured rather than integrate us into society with everybody else. And that's just not cool. If I can be a little informal here, it's not cool at all. I don't like it. I've never met any other person on the spectrum that considers this in any way to be acceptable. Okay, moving on to the next one. Next, we have the Autism Society of America. There's not as much information about that one available, but they've had some issues as well, resorting to chelation therapy to try to cure autism, to get rid of metals in the blood, thinking that caused it. There was vaccine denialism. Look, vaccines don't cause autism. That has been debunked over and over and over again. I mean, look at me. I'm vaccinated and I still have it, so we know that that's not true. No, I'm kidding. I am vaccinated, but there's honestly no link between vaccines and being autistic, and that's a whole thing that we'll get into some other time. Between that and the chelation therapy, they've moved away from some of those practices and viewpoints, thankfully, but still, it's a little bit problematic. It's still harmful. It's still promoting autism as something that needs to be cured rather than people who are autistic being integrated into society, and that's just not cool. Not cool, not good. Needs to be fixed. Let's talk about Generation Rescue. Now, this was founded by Jenny McCarthy. You've probably heard her ramblings about autism caused by vaccination. This organization stands firmly on the grounds that vaccines cause autism due to thimerosal, the drug in the vaccinations. This has been debunked, disproven countless times over. The organization claims that drugs can cure autism, or the chelation therapy can cure autism. None of that's true. There is no cure. There is no cure for being autistic. There has never been a cure. There will never be a cure because we do not have a disease. The sooner society realizes that autistic people are just as important of a member of society as neurotypical people, the better. So, if you support Generation Rescue, if you donate to Generation Rescue, if you donate to Autism Society of America, if you donate to Autism Speaks, you are putting your money in the wrong places. We do not need awareness. People are aware that we exist. We need acceptance. And that's what I'm going to hit on with these next points here. So let's start with the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. Now, that's one of the good ones. It is run by autistic people for autistic people. They do not prioritize finding a cure where there would be no cure. They focus on trying to better the lives of those of us who are autistic. As they themselves are on the spectrum, they are more aware of the struggles that we face on a daily basis, on a regular basis. So they do have that lens that we see life through. They can see it that way because they themselves are autistic people, which to me is very, very important. You don't put a straight person as the head of an LGBTQ corporation. You don't put a white person as the head of an organization that supports acceptance for black, indigenous, people of color, minorities, or that sort of thing. Just like you don't put neurotypical people in an organization focused on autistic people. There is that sense of detachment there. So that is what I like about the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. A lot of these organizations, anymore the good ones, are going towards, instead of that nasty puzzle piece, they are using the rainbow infinity symbol. The infinity loop looks like a sideways number 8. You'll see it here in the video. That's a whole lot better. It doesn't imply that we're missing anything. It doesn't imply that we are not all of ourselves. So that is a big boon to following one of those organizations. Autism Self-Advocacy Network actually ended their sponsorship with Sesame Street after Sesame Street's autistic character, Julia, decided to promote Autism Speaks and the vitriol and harmful information that they represent. So, good on them for cutting ties with something that promotes the wrong idea. If you live outside the United States, there's the organization Autistics that's the number 4, Autistics, which is based out of Canada and works off the same principles as the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. It's run by autistic people. It seeks to reform some of the harmful autism-related policies, make a better world in that area for autistic people. So if you are in Canada, I recommend checking them out. Finally, we have Autistic Inclusive Meets, also known as AIM, not to be confused with your old AOL Instant Messenger that so many of us grew up on. Autistic Inclusive Meets, it's a not-for-profit organization created by autistic people to enable families with autistic children and autistic individuals to get out into the community and socialize in an accepting, inclusive environment with like-minded peers. They do provide support and advice to families and individuals. It is run by autistic people as well, so that makes it one of the better ones. I sincerely recommend looking into them as well. They are certainly one of the better organizations. So, we also have the Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network. That's more for autistic women, autistic people who are also non-binary. I myself am not comfortable speaking on that in particular because I myself am not non-binary. I am not a woman. I am assigned male at birth, identify as male. But I do have people who are women and non-binary on the spectrum that I can speak with to see if they would be willing to contribute content of their own, viewpoints of their own, and express how they feel about that organization as well as others. So perhaps look for that in a future video. Uh, so it's essentially, look at where your money's going, look at where your attention is going when you're reading up about autism. Don't look at organizations or charities that put the disorder first. Look at the ones that put the people first. Don't look at the ones that are focused on trying to find any sort of cure, trying to find any link between that and vaccination, saying that autism is a bad thing or that being autistic is bad. Don't focus your attention on those. Focus your attention on the one that look at the person first and the autism second, that looks more towards acceptance, and that looks more towards the ones that have autistic people on their boards, running things, doing the operations, all that kind of thing. Because we as autistic people, we can run things too. We are just as capable as neurotypical people as far as we are just as capable as neurotypical people as far as being a functioning, contributing member of society. There's no reason to think that we're not. And it's only because of the comments and the beliefs of people and organizations in the past and present day as well that it's said that we're not as good, that we're not quite normal. We don't need to be society's definition of normal. What even is that? No. We're good just the way we are. We don't need a cure. We don't need treatment. We need acceptance. So if you are someone who is neurotypical, if you are the parent of a child with autism, if you are the brother, sister, father, son, mother, daughter, aunt, uncle, or cousin, friend, or relative of anyone with autism, please do your research. Please treat the people you know with autism well. Please don't look down on them as less of a person because of their diagnosis. Please don't do that. I implore you. That's just going to lead to more problems. Instead, look at them as the whole person that they are, without deficits, without disease, without a lack of function, because we can function. We can live. I have my own place. I work. I drive a car. I have a bank account. I have been through high school and college. You wouldn't know me to be autistic if you looked at me. Sure, we have some cues that might give you an idea, but on the surface, we're all the same. We're all people. And that's the most important thing, is we are all people. We should not be treated like anything less than people. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for today. The next video is going to be focused on mental disorders and how the video game Final Fantasy VII touches on that. So I look forward to seeing you guys for that one. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section, and I'll see you next time.